Donkey of the Day for Tuesday, March 7th goes to Dr. Ben Carson. I don't even know what Dr. Ben Carson's title is. I think it's the head of Donald Trump's urban affairs, Donald Trump's Negro whisperer that none of the Negroes listen to. What's his title? Oh, I found it. United States Secretary of House Negroes and Urban Development. Now, Ben Carson was addressing employees at the Department of House Negroes and Urban Development on Monday, and he decided to give people a revisionist history lesson about slavery. Let's hear what Ben had to say.
That's what America is about. A land of dreams and opportunity. There were other immigrants who came here in the bottom of slave ships, worked even longer, even harder for less. But they too had a dream that one day their sons, daughters, grandsons, granddaughters, great-grandsons, great-granddaughters might pursue prosperity and happiness in this land. And do you know, of all the nations in the world, the United States of America is the only one big enough and great enough to allow all those people to realize their dream.
Ben, who are these alternative immigrants you speak of, or is it alternative slavery you're speaking of? You know, just to play white devil's advocate, Dr. Ben Carson never claimed to be a historian. He's a neurosurgeon. Clearly, history wasn't his strong point. I mean, seriously, does Dr. Ben Carson look like he ever stepped foot in an African American studies class? When I first heard these statements from Dr. Ben Carson, I said to myself, number one, this is absolutely a time to slander Dr. Ben Carson, but number two, it's also a time to teach. Because what's dangerous about this situation is it's a lot of young people in particular who may not know the history of slavery in America. I know that sounds far-fetched to say, but whenever I hear people liken certain things to slavery, like the music industry or corporate America or the NBA or NFL, I say to myself, y'all must have forgot exactly what slavery was. Remember Kanye's new slave record, huh? Y'all remember that? Mm-hmm. Well, I can't think of any slaves who got $1 million contracts and $1 million endorsement deals, okay? In the words of my friend Angela Rye, slaves built this joint for free, okay? Not for less, Ben Carson. For free. It's a huge difference between servitude and providing a service, okay? If you work in corporate America, you are providing a service to a corporation and you get paid for it. Slaves were in servitude, bondage, enslavement, working for nothing in the worst possible conditions. So, yes, I hate when people compare anything to slavery because it's just not accurate. Now, back to Dr. Ben Carson. He was on somebody's radio show. I don't know who this Negro was. And they were explaining the word immigrant. Let's hear it.
What you're saying is that anybody who's come from a foreign place is an immigrant. And that's what America... Yes, and they were. Coming from a
everybody in that auditorium, they knew exactly what I was saying.
See, you're moving the goalposts, man. See, here's the problem. There's a huge difference between voluntary immigration and involuntary servitude, okay? Slaves didn't come over here willingly, looking for a better life. They were kidnapped, human trafficking, and forced into slavery, okay? They were involuntary immigrants. I shouldn't have to explain to anyone that, yeah, we might be immigrants, but we didn't come willingly, okay? We didn't want to be in the bottom of slave ships packed on top of each other. And I hate when Dr. Ben Carson says the United States of America is the only one big enough and great enough to allow all those people to realize their dream. Can we play that part of the clip again?
The United States of America. The only one big enough and great enough to allow all those people to realize their dream.
Ben. America didn't allow anything, okay? People had to fight for the right to be considered equal. Do we even have to have a civil rights lesson right now? People had to escape slavery and revolt against slavery. Then they had to march and fight during the civil rights era, fight against segregation. America didn't allow anything. And that dream of prosperity you speak of, that people wanted for their kids and grandkids, you damn right. If I was getting raped and beaten and forced to work against my will, I would hope and pray my kids didn't have to go through that. Ben Carson clearly does not know the history of African Americans in this country. Like, he can't. He's the same guy who once compared Obamacare to slavery. He said Obamacare was the worst thing since slavery, which lets me know that some people, as I said earlier, truly don't understand the severity of slavery. Now, trust me, Dr. Ben Carson has truly earned this donkey of the day. But what sealed the deal for him was what he posted on Facebook to try to clear it up. He wrote, "The slave narrative and immigrant narrative are two entirely different experiences. Slaves were ripped from their families and their homes and forced against their will after being sold into slavery by slave traders. The immigrants made the choice to come to America. They saw this country as a land of opportunity. In contrast, slaves were forced here against their will and lost all their opportunities. We continue to live with that legacy." This is Dr. Ben Carson speaking. He continues to say the two experiences should never be intertwined nor forgotten. Okay, let's stop right there. I can't stand when somebody does something and then tells me after the fact that what they did shouldn't ever be done. Yes, you're right, Ben. Slavery and immigration, the two experiences should never be intertwined, Negro. We know this, okay? That's why people are slandering you, because clearly you don't know the difference. And if you did, you would never fix your mouth to spew the nonsense you said yesterday. Please give the Secretary of House Negroes and Urban Development, Dr. Ben Carson, the biggest hee-haw, please.